Welcome to Ignite Intimacy, a podcast exploring intimacy, romantic relationships, sexuality, and everything that relates to these hot topics. We're going in. Are you ready? This is your host, Laura Aisha. Let's do this. Hello, Ignite Intimacy community. This is Miss Laura Aisha, and it's April. We are focusing on body image, healing body shame, prioritizing pleasure, also dealing with erotic shame. So we have a beautiful conversation coming up for you today. Craig from the Body Electric School is on the line with us, and we are diving into some powerful topics all around healing body shame and erotic shame, and also how pleasure is the pathway to healing ourselves, bringing ourselves into our bodies, into self-love, and then also giving us access to loving each other as well as we love ourselves. This is a good one. Stay tuned, check in. We've got some powerful, powerful stuff up for you in just a minute here, and a beautiful exercise that we're encouraging all to step into. So listen through the end of the episode for that, and we will also have more of Noelle's erotic poetry at the end of this episode. If you haven't yet, hop over to iTunes, leave us a rating and a review so that more people can learn about this podcast. And if you're loving it, if you're feeling it, share it with your friends, and please email us at hello@igniteintimacy.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know which topics you'd like to hear more about. We love y'all so much. We wouldn't be here without you. Ignite Intimacy community, you are it. Thank you so, so much. And here we go. A next beautiful episode. Talk soon. Ciao. We're here live and direct. Craig, it is so awesome to be on the line with you today. Welcome to Ignite Intimacy.
Why, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, it's so cool. I had no idea about the new Body Electric School. So I want you to share with our audience all about that. And because this month we're focusing on healing body image stuff and body and erotic shame and prioritizing pleasure, that's really what we're going to dive into today. So I'm super excited about it.
Beautiful. Definitely.
Great.
Yeah. So I guess I can start by telling you about the Body Electric School. The Body Electric School is a community, and it offers workshops in cultivating and experiencing erotic pleasure as pathways towards the sacred and pathways towards healing in intentional and safe erotic community for men, communities of just men, communities of just women, and communities of all genders. And the school started in the 80s. There's a man named Joseph Kramer who was a seminarian, a former seminarian. And he created the first workshop in San Francisco in the 80s called Celebrating the Body Erotic. And he was witnessing the decimation, really. He's a gay man, and he was witnessing the decimation, really, of the gay community in San Francisco in the 80s with the AIDS crisis, HIV epidemic. And he worked to create a workshop where, at that time, gay men primarily could come together to engage with their erotic selves and work to integrate and heal these different aspects of ourselves, our sacred selves, our erotic selves, in a very safe container. And so he was calling upon the Taoist, ancient Chinese Taoist principles of erotic massage, which is about connecting with the breath, using touch to engage, with the men that was considered, the cock or the erotic generator, to raise energy with a whole variety of strokes and then spread the energy through the body as a way to engage energy, to have energy flow, to awaken, to heal, to release old ways of being that no longer serve, and to basically strip the layers of separation that we walk within the world as we strive to connect more deeply with our deepest selves and with other people in safe and intentional community. And all of this is done through the Taoist principles. There's a great book called The Multi-Orgasmic Man by Montauk Chia, which is the foundational principles of Taoist erotic touch and breath work, which is really, it's about raising energy and, for men anyway, making it a non-ejaculatory experience and really separating out the concepts and experience of orgasm from ejaculation. And the idea that when we ejaculate, we actually lose energy, we lose vitality. What the Taoist principles invite us to consider and practice is raising our erotic energy and then keeping that not ejaculating, and keeping that energy that we've raised inside as a way to revitalize and give ourselves energy through our day and for optimum health. This is one of the tenets of Taoist kind of sexual principles. I would call it sexual kung fu.
Kung I love
fu,
that.
Yeah. And the basis of kung fu really meaning the word practice. The practice of engaging and raising erotic energy is a way to heal and connect. And so anyway, this was kind of like the foundation of it. And the school evolved from this celebrating the body erotic experience. And Joseph Kramer taught it all over the United States and the world. And then the school evolved over many years. And it's been going since the 80s, and it's expanded. We have all kinds of different workshops. The celebrating the body erotic workshops are entry point. We have workshops on anal pleasure. We have 6-day, 7-day intensives during the summer. We have all kinds of women's work, out of the boxes, non-gender, non-binary, erotic healing work. So
it sounds so inclusive.
We try to be, and we're on a journey to continue to do that. I mean, I think, most of our participants over time have been gay men in the United States. And we've been trying to expand outward from that and bring the work and bring other groups of people into the work. And that still continues to be, focus of ours. And the reason we're called the New Body Electric School now is because after about 35 years of the school being a privately owned organization, we just this January transitioned it into a not-for-profit organization, educational institution. And so we've called it the New Body Electric School because the not-for-profit structure really kind of serves in some better ways the work that we're trying to do in the world.
Yeah,
of course, go ahead.
No, please.
Which is, of course, to bring people into really exquisitely facilitated, safe spaces to explore themselves as erotic people, to connect with other people, and to welcome healing and transformation in their life. I mean, that's really our mission.
That's amazing. Well, and I think most of us need it. Most humans on planet Earth need this.
Yes.
Because I know for me, in my experience growing up in a Roman Catholic household, there was little to no conversation about sex. And there was this energy of just shame around the body, sex, masturbation. I mean, I've said this multiple times on the podcast, but I couldn't even speak about masturbation until I was in my late 20s, comfortably, right? Well, and even it was uncomfortable then, and then now it's just like whatever. However, there was a lot of working through that, and just tied into that, a lot of body shame, a lot of just body image stuff, and that my body and how I look is somehow connected to my worth in the world. And so I'm curious, how does Body Electric work with people around the healing body shame piece and the healing erotic shame?
Such a good question. Let me just back up a second, and I want to address that, and I want to talk a little bit about my personal experience too, because I think in some ways this is relevant. But I was just at a Body Electric workshop this last weekend. It was a Body Electric for men in Asheville, North Carolina. It was beautiful, and the teacher, who was wonderful, used an expression I hadn't heard before, and he called it the trance of unworthiness. That we exist, all humans on some level or another exist in this kind of trance of unworthiness, where we believe that our basic worthiness is in question. And part of the experience of this workshop is to awaken from that trance so that we can live fuller, healthier, more dynamic and engaged lives. And part of that, of course, is embracing our erotic selves because it's essential to who we are.
Absolutely. Well, do we know where this trance of unworthiness comes from? Like, where did this
even
Right.
begin through the ages, you know?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many, I think there's so many things to explore there. Part of it, I think, is kind of like the ego mind consciousness of the human being over time. Part of it certainly probably has to do with religious training. I mean, you mentioned growing up in a Catholic household. My family was also Catholic. And I also experienced what you experienced because in my family, it was like absolute avoidance of any conversation ever about our bodies or sex. And so I think that I downloaded a very unconscious body shame personally. And I grew up my whole life walking in the world with such crippling body shame, right? And it went through my teens into my 20s. Like I couldn't even take my shirt off at a beach until I was like 30 years old. And like I look back on myself in these pictures and I was like this cute little chipster. And it didn't matter. Body dysmorphia. It was just my image of myself and my sense of how I walked in the world with my body shame was so crippling. And what I noticed is that it kept me from being able to have intimate connections with other men.
Yeah.
Because when I would be with people intimately, with men intimately, I could not believe that this person would be attracted to my body.
Wow.
And as a defense to that, I would just completely disengage from the possibility of going deeper. Right? So I was seeing how body shame was impacting my ability to connect with people in some really deep ways. And when I took the body electric workshop my first time, I was 33. And part of the experience is being naked in a group full of men. I mean, that's part of it. You are going into this and you know that you will be sharing naked space.
Okay.
And it was a circle of fire, a ring of fire that I had to go through that I just didn't know if I could do it. It was almost too much, but I did it. And then I did it again. And then I did it again. And it was kind of like every time I kind of took the risk and cultivated the bravery to step into that experience, some part of the shame peeled away. And it was like, because part of the experience of the workshop is not only being vulnerable and seen, no matter what my body looks like, but that we're all in it together in this shared experience of sharing this vulnerability.
Yeah.
And then when you bring into it this very, very beautiful teaching about how to touch people with respect and with care. A lot of the language, we in the body electric workshop, we do this beautiful undressing ritual. The undressing piece is completely ritualized, and you are touched and undressed with such honor and respect, like you're being, and the language that some of the facilitators use is like as if you're this person is like the image of, in the Western mind anyway, the image of God, that you are caring for and letting fall away these clothes, which are a metaphor for our layers of separation from each other, from our deepest selves. And
it's so beautiful.
And having experiences of ritual in this context, ritual heals. Ritual is something like, is an experience where you step into the experience, you have the experience, you step out of it, and something is slightly changed. And in my experience personally, part of what has changed and what continues to change is my experience of my body. And now I teach these workshops and I'm naked in front of all these people. And I was like crippled by body shame. So, and guess what?
Yeah.
It's still with me. I still took this workshop last weekend and it's like this residue still there.
Yeah.
But it does not hamper my willingness to choose connection, to choose intimacy. It doesn't keep me anymore from doing what I want.
Well, and it's like with so many things in life, the first time can be so confronting.
Yes.
It's like, oh God, should I do this? I mean, I can think of 5 things right now that I've almost bailed on. Like,
yes.
I mean, like literally like the night before a trip, like almost bailing and then going and getting there and realizing, holy shit, if I would have bailed on this, like if I would have missed this because I was afraid, I was unsure, blah, 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 whatever. Oh man, like,
exactly.
I'd be sorry I missed this. So it's like, it's like saying yes to that first time, even though it is like, I mean, I don't know, maybe I might even be thinking like, holy shit, like what would my family say? Or what would my friends
Oh
say?
yeah.
Like, what, you know, like, would they be like, okay, maybe you're going a little too far? And, and then saying yes to it. And then you find that you have this beautiful experience in your shame, in your fear, in your vulnerability, where you allow it. And then every time after that, it's like showing up in a foreign country. And then the first time is like, the second time is
Yes.
like, oh, wait, I have a feel for this. The third time is like, now you're speaking some of the language and you know where to get the taxi and
Exactly.
and so it's like, I'm nomading right now. So I'm doing a lot of
Yes.
travel and,
Yes.
so it's like the more that you do it, now you are presenting these workshops and you're in front of the group naked with
Yes.
all your machinery, with all of
Yes.
your stuff, right? And it doesn't mean that disappears necessarily. For some people it does, but I think for most of us, we still have to deal with that machinery and say yes to the thing that is calling us forward.
Yes. And it gives me now an opportunity when the body shame arises again, because it does. It's much less, but it's still there sometimes. It gives me now where I am with it, it gives me an opportunity to practice self-love, to practice being gentle with myself, and to notice the harshness of judgment, and to just be some awareness around it. Right? There's ways I can just love myself or ask for support, and that's very different from because what it used to be was just what I used to completely shut myself down. Now it's not about shutdown. But there's something else that you said, which is interesting. I was at this way of council training. A council is kind of like a heart circle kind of community circle talking stick kind of experience, which is very beautiful. And one of the participants was talking about, we were talking about the importance of safe space, of course. And of course, that's one of the things that in Body Electric we care so much about, is creating a safe container. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to feel comfortable all the time, and you may feel discomfort, and we understand that in that discomfort space, that's where we grow, that's where we stretch.
Discomfort is not bad, right?
No,
it's like it's part of life. Yeah.
But this woman in this training I was in used a phrase which I loved, which was, she's like, yeah, safe space is important, but what I'm really curious about is brave space. Brave space. How do we cultivate our bravery? There may be something in me that says, wow, I'm really drawn to this workshop, and it absolutely petrifies me. And that fear is an indication, is a cairn, is a guidepost. Go there. There's something there for me. And there's some piece about cultivating my bravery, my courage, with support that can be very, very useful in the journey of growth, the journey of letting go the ways that we sabotage or old ways of being. But I'm also very, very curious about this question about pleasure that you had brought up.
Yeah.
I have this teacher in this other kind of world, other kind of realm, that talks about how for most of the history of humanity, the evolution of the human spirit, or our growth process, has mostly been about growth through suffering. Right? Like, I have to learn through this pain and misery of this mistake or this choice I made. And when I go through the pain of that, it's kind of like I get this experience of contrast that says, okay, well, I know I don't want that, so I'm going to go this way instead, right? And this one teacher of mine talks about how now he thinks we're kind of getting into this kind of paradigm of human consciousness, where the capacity and ability to actually continue our spiritual journey through pleasure is upon us. And that these sacred temples that we all exist in, our bodies, that really our bodies are these sacred temples, and that they offer so much to us in terms of information and healing, that if we could be engaged in some kind of practice around self-pleasure, around offering and receiving pleasure from other people in ways that serve us, that can be a foundation and a vehicle for our continued spiritual growth and consciousness expansion.
Absolutely. Because it's like we're giving ourselves permission to say yes to what is good in life. And I think that so much of the time we're so afraid of what could be bad, or we're stressed about what isn't working. Or, I mean, I know for me, I am standing so wholeheartedly in the face of my own self-judgments, and
Yes.
wanting to be, just being hard on myself for making, I'm air quoting, you can't see me, but I'm, got the air quotes going, like for making the wrong choice, or I should have done that. I mean, I will, find that there's a loop in my head that sometimes if I choose what I consider the wrong thing, I will literally like find my brain going over and over and over it. And I have to every time be like, stop, like, it's okay. And really like self-care mothering the part of me that wants to go back and fix it, wants to go back and do it again, wants to go,
Yes.
thinks that in going back, I can get something. And,
Yes.
I feel emotional about it because I had a conversation with the dearest person in my life this morning. And I said, I'm here with you. I'm here. We're going to work through this together. And she said, yeah, but you can't go back and change the past. And
Yes.
I said, no, you can't. I can't go back and change who I was 5, 10, 15 years ago. And today, here we are.
Yes.
And you're there, and I'm here, and I am telling you, I am here, and we can work through this now, And so it's, there's something so powerful in all of this around forgiveness and love and self-care, that it gives us freedom from shame.
Yes.
And
can I drop this? And can I drop the story?
Yeah. Exactly. Like whatever story I created because I was too young to know, or because I was just making up a bunch of assumptions based on energy, timing, what was said or not said, blah, blah, blah. And so it's so powerful. And it all is kind of tied together, right?
Yes, it is. I mean, I really relate to what you're saying because I can do that to myself too. I've often said I wish that I had the 2 buttons from the computer in my life, the undo button and the refresh button. But yeah, I mean, I think you really named it when you talked about the practice of forgiveness, forgiving others and giving them space to be who they are, and forgiving myself. And that seems to be even harder sometimes. Can I just notice and, let go, or practice some other kind of gentle energy with the parts of myself I just want to, be so harsh, the harshness. So I totally relate to that. And I think it is. I mean, I think it is about the journey of embodiment. I think a lot of that trauma or those thoughts or those ways of being, that deep programming lives in our body, it lives in deep places. And I think entering into some practices of embodiment, whether it's breath work or touch or massage, or, there's all kinds of things out there about, getting into those spaces. It helps bring light and energy and breath to some of those deep places of woundedness in us. And I think that unraveling that can happen through pleasure, that unraveling that can happen through breath and through, you know what I mean? In Body Electric, we talk about how, we're a nation of sub-ventilators, right? We learn when we're a kid, that we should only breathe down to like our chest rather than all the way into our hearts, all the way into our bellies, all the way into our lungs, right? That breath brings us to, one of the capacities of breath is that it allows us to access deep places within our experience of our bodies, our consciousness. And when we only breathe to our chest, it kind of shuts down all that other deep stuff in us that is actually where our woundedness and our pain live. And so the invitation to breathe deeply, the invitation to touch and massage and awaken and move energy in some of these spaces is exactly the work that can allow people to be in a journey of healing. So that we can walk in the world, like, so that we're at home in the house of our own body.
Yeah.
How do I walk in the world? Do I have my shoulders back and my head up? Am I breathing fully? Do I have some sense of peace and connection as I walk in the world, as I engage with other people? How can I be at home in the house of the world, in this beautiful temple of my embodiment? And
Mm.
it's steps forward and steps back. It's expansion and it's contraction, just like breathing. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's about, again, this idea of like this kung fu about like, what practice am I in?
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
give myself the gift of being in some kind of awareness practice and do it consistently? It seems to me that that's really the game.
Mm. Yeah. Well, actually, absolutely. And I'm just even thinking about how we started this call and how I start most of my recordings for the podcast, which is with breath, and because I
Yes.
noticed that, I know for me, I'm coming into the recordings after doing 1,000 other things, and I have 1,000 other things to do after the call, and I may have other recordings or meetings or whatever, or travel or whatever's coming up. And so allowing us to take those breaths, those deep intentional breaths together,
Yes.
it just brings you into the body. It grounds you in the moment. And it's like permission, right? So we're like giving ourselves permission again to say, like, be here now, be in this conversation, and
Yes.
trust that the rest will get handled
Yeah.
after, or not. And that's okay.
Right. Absolutely.
So let's just talk for a moment about this pleasure piece and body electric. And then I want
Yes.
you to share with people how they can find out more about
Yes.
body electric.
Yes. Right. Well, let me just say quickly, the whole process of conscious transformational breath work is really a foundational engine of everything we do in body. We understand that we need to be connected to our breath as a foundation for doing any of this kind of work. So that's something that anybody who would come to any of our workshops will experience. I like to think of my breath as its own kind of consciousness almost. This is just my stuff. I almost think of my breath as like conscious, intelligent being. It's like an ally, a friend. And what's my relationship with this friend? This friend that's been with me since my first breath and will be with me till my last. Like, can I cultivate an intentional, conscious relationship with this great, powerful ally that is with me at every moment? That's something that I like to think about in terms of my awareness and relationship to my own breath.
Mm.
But pleasure, yeah. The body is incredible. One of the things we do in Body Electric is we invite people in. We put, people, like, one thing that we do sometimes is if you imagine everybody's kind of in the space, they're lying on the floor on a yoga mat or something, and they're blindfolded. And we invite people through an experience of pleasuring their own body, right? Nobody's really witnessing them. They're in their own world. That's the purpose of the blindfold. And the invitation is, imagine that you're touching this beautiful temple of your body for the first time. Like, as if it's like beginner's mind. Get out of the habits about how you touch yourself. Maybe you never touch yourself, or maybe you do all the time, but no matter what it is, allow yourself to begin to touch your body very lightly with your fingertips and explore the contours of this beautiful gift of your body. And let your body speak to you about how it likes to be touched. Let it tell you where it wants attention and what feels good, as a journey towards adding breath to your experience of yourself in this body. Because sometimes I'll touch myself and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that could feel so good. Like, for me particularly, I love like the inner arms. Like, it's just so incredible the amount of good feelings that come from that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the body wants to tell us how it wants to be touched.
Yeah.
And there's a zillion neurons and nerve endings all over the body. And it's kind of like our body, that we are so wired for this kind of pleasure, I think is something very interesting and something very something to be curious about.
And
because it's right there. The access is right there for us.
Yeah.
And the benefits are huge.
Well, absolutely. And there's so much healing there. There's so much healing that takes place through touch and connection, and it's absolutely amazing. And when we start to unpack our pleasure, it's multidimensional, it's multisensory, it's everywhere. And so choosing pleasure is a great practice. It's like, okay, I'm caught up in some serious stress and anxiety right now. Where's my pleasure? How do I choose that? Where do I choose it?
To relax, to heal. And someone, and this teacher, this wonderful teacher, John Ballou, who was teaching the Body Electric last weekend that I was at, he said, because all human beings are connected energetically through consciousness, if I'm increasing my pleasure, I'm impacting the healing and pleasure of the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only me, but it's like in some ways of service towards the healing and expansion of consciousness of everyone.
It's amazing.
Which is kind of cool and radical.
Yeah, it totally is. Well, how can people get connected to Body Electric and find out what you're creating in the world and the workshop?
Yes. Well, they can go to our website. It's www.thebodyelectricschool.com, thebodyelectricschool.com. And you can go there and check out our website. We're transitioning from the old kind of business into the not-for-profit. So we're still kind of like moving forward with our website and stuff, but people can send emails with information. They can check out our schedule. We have a schedule of workshops for men, for women, for all genders, all through the entire year. We have 2-week-long intensives this summer. People can take these workshops and see what we're about. And they can call me, they can email us and kind of ask more questions, be in the conversation. We're here to support people in their journey towards healing and consciousness, and to support people so that they can be in the world the way they choose to be, empowered, alive, feeling that they're engaging and offering their attention and their love in ways that they define as meaningful. I mean, I know for myself and for the experiences I've had that this work is great medicine. And this is a time in the world, in some ways we're in this global contraction, really, in a lot of ways. This is a time when this kind of work is not only healing for ourselves, it's healing for the entire world. It is medicine. And it's medicine that needs to be offered more and more. So we're welcoming people into the journey of healing and medicine through Eros.
Yeah. Well, and also just that the more that we heal ourselves, the more contribution we can be to the healing of our families, our communities, and the healing of the nations,
Yes. The resonant energy I'm walking with is going to impact everyone.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have like the fuck you, or I hate you, or the contraction. Or the I'm afraid of this or that, or, it doesn't mean that that's not going to be there. It just means that, we dance and play with that in a new way. And that ultimately we remind ourselves that we are love, that love exists, and that, we actually have the capacity to be love and to love ourselves and to love each other. Craig, what a pleasure to jam with you on these juicy topics today. Oh my gosh.
I agree.
Well, so Ignite Intimacy audience, check out the Body Electric School, and thebodyelectricschool.com. We'll have that in the show notes. And then, Craig, I'm just wondering, is there something that we could leave our audience with, a challenge, a request, something that everyone could take as a practice into their day-to-day lives?
Okay, well, I hope this isn't too scandalous, but I would challenge everyone. I would invite everyone into considering the next time you have a half an hour alone to go into your bedroom or wherever you are and give yourselves like 30 minutes or 20 or 30 minutes of just self-pleasure. Let your body speak to you about how it likes to be touched. Allow yourself to get out of your grooved pathways about how you touch. Don't go for, ejaculation or orgasm necessarily, but just give yourself time. I mean, statistics say that, people in the United States, like sex lasts like 3 minutes. Give yourself time to pleasure yourself and have that experience and be connected to your breath. And at the end of it, notice, gather the data and notice how you feel. Do you feel more relaxed? How do you leave that experience as you walk into the rest of your life?
Well, and even like what comes up when you think about taking 30 minutes to just self-pleasure. And self-pleasure does not equate masturbation. It can be any, like just meditating on what is my body calling for right now. And
light fingertip touch, just
yeah,
exploring very slowly. It's a beautiful experience. And
juicy.
in our fast paced world, it's like to give yourself. It's radical to it seems like an indulgence.
Yeah, it
and
does.
yet and yet it's the benefits are so profound.
Well, it's
And
necessary.
like, we don't have to buy anything. We don't have to go anywhere. We've got it all here. It's just, bam, you have it.
All right.
It costs nothing.
Community. We are challenging you. We're offering, take 30 minutes this week, 30 minutes, block it off in your calendar if you need to, and go into a safe, comfortable space, private, if that is what is best for you. And just allow yourselves 30 minutes to listen to your body, follow the guidance, follow the pleasure. And
put some music on that you love, that feels good.
Yeah. And let us know, to holler at us. hello@igniteintimacy.com. Let us know how what that experience was for you. Did you walk away from it more relaxed? Did you walk away more connected to your pleasure, to your body, to your heart,
Yeah.
So, well, Craig, listen, so much love to you.
You too.
Let's keep the link. Ignite Intimacy. You heard it here, thebodyelectricschool.com. And we are healing shame, healing erotic shame, healing body shame, and bringing us into more self-pleasure and more love. Craig, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate the time. What a joy.
Absolutely. Me too. And we will be in touch soon.
Okay. Thanks,
all right.
Laura.
Lots of love and ciao for now.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Ignite Intimacy community. You heard it here. Craig and I jamming on some juicy topics. And I'm curious, when will you take 30 minutes this week to prioritize your pleasure, to just create sacred space, to choose yourself, to choose your pleasure? When will you do that? When are you doing that? Put it in your calendar, meditate on it, go do it now, and be in the fullness of what the pleasure within you is guiding you to do. I'm curious to see how this exercise will just help you tune into your body, self-love, and really honoring the sacred space that you be in the world and the sacred space that pleasure holds in your life. Thank you so, so much for joining us on another episode of Ignite Intimacy. Coming up, we have another erotic poem from Noelle, and we're just so deeply grateful that you're here with us on this powerful, powerful journey. So thank you for tuning in, and here is some more yummy erotic poetry for your listening pleasure. Ciao for now, and we'll see you on the next one. Stay blessed. Mwah.
Storm. The phone alert said, storm, flood, warning. In other words, stay in. And so I went out. And amidst everything getting all stirred up, you came to my call. And though still miles away, you zipped up my jacket, took off my hood, and undid my hair to let it whip free. Get it wet, he said. Be the fronds of the air, you said. And it dreamed itself awake somehow with your care, keeping warm but still wild, keeping dry except where it counts.
Thanks for tuning in to another conversation on the Ignite Intimacy podcast hotline. We love that you choose to spend your time with us. Check us out at igniteintimacy.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review and a rating. It helps more people know about us. We love to hear from you. You can email us with questions, comments, or suggestions to hello@igniteintimacy.com. And tell your friends. Music was arranged by Jason Pfaff and Mike Corey, and this podcast is produced by yours truly, Laura Aisha. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, let your light shine bright and ignite your intimacy.